Do you want an independent alternative social media site?
Come on down to justinform.com.
Tired of mainstream media never focusing on the real issues?
Come to justinform.com.
Do you watch the Jimmy Dore Show and Redacted Tonight?
Justinform.com has just what you need.
If you're tired of being censored, tired of having your data stolen and sold, go to justinform.com, a social media site where all voices are welcome.
The Democratic Party made history when they nominated their first female nomination, Hillary Clinton. However, they made a Trump presidency inevitable when they rigged it against Bernie Sanders.
Do you think, though, that what we're learning from Donna Brazil's book suggests that the campaign, that what the Democratic National Committee did, meant this election was rigged? I think it was.
In 2016, ballots were altered in California.
We observed them whiting out the ballots.
In Broward County, Florida, ballots were destroyed.
She violated federal law and state law by destroying the ballots prematurely. She concealed the fact that she had destroyed the ballots for a full 2 months. If this doesn't amount to malfeasance and nonfeasance, what does?
The Democratic Party does not want progressives running on their platform. Voter suppression that happened in 2016 happened in 2018 as well. Our elections will always be rigged unless we stand against our oppressors.
The process is rigged. This whole election is being rigged.
Together we can unrig the system. Until then, it's rigged.
We are touching a nerve with the American people who understand that establishment politics is just not good enough. We need bold changes. We need a political revolution.
We could have voluntarily decided that, look, we're going to go into back rooms like they used to and smoke cigars and pick the candidate that way. Bruce Spiva, lawyer for the DNC. Bernie Sanders didn't have a chance. He said it himself. 400 superdelegates before the election had even begun had pledged their allegiance to Hillary Clinton.
We have received up to now 46% of the pledged delegates. We have received all of 7% of the superdelegates. Secretary Clinton has 525 superdelegates. We have all of 39. So she has 93% of the superdelegates. And here is what is really very, very interesting, and I think not a good thing. Over 400 of these superdelegates indicated their support for Secretary Clinton before anyone else was in the race. They indicated their support for Secretary Clinton before the first ballot was cast, before the campaign even began. In other words, the establishment determined who the anointed candidate will be before the first voters got into the process. I think that that is a very, very bad idea, and it's an idea that we intend to change at the convention. But it is a bad, not only a bad idea from a democratic perspective, the idea that a party would in a significant way determine who the candidate is before people got involved in the political process. It is a bad idea because if you go that route, you may not end up with the strongest candidate to defeat somebody like a Donald Trump. Secretary Clinton does represent the establishment. I represent, I hope, ordinary Americans, and by the way, who are not all that enamored with the establishment, but I am very proud to have people like Keith Ellison and Raul Grijalva in the House, the co-chairman of the House Progressive Caucus.
Bernie Sanders says his campaign is taking on the political establishment because you're part of the establishment. Are you?
Well, I have to say I didn't understand that at all. I really don't understand what he means by that.
But are you the establishment?
I just don't understand what that means. He's been in Congress. He's been elected to office a lot longer than I have. I was in the Senate for 8 wonderful years representing New York. He's been in the Congress for 25. And so I'll let your viewers make their own judgment.
My first interview is with Iowa Bernie delegate Jessica Butler.
My name is Jessica Butler, and I live in Sioux County, Iowa, northwestern part of it. I'm a social worker, and I'm originally from Rockford, Illinois.
Jessica Butler is most famously known for this image of her at the convention.
It was like a winter day, it was really cold, and I knocked on this door, and it was this older woman, and she invited me inside because it was cold. And so I get in there, and we're chit-chatting, just getting to kind of know each other. I said, you know, I'm here volunteering for Bernie Sanders. She just kept talking about, like, her struggles because she's on, like, disability, and she has a mental illness, and her partner that wasn't there at the time had served in the war, one of the wars, and he has PTSD. And so, I don't know, I just was listening to their stories, and we were just getting to know each other, and I felt like we were building a rapport and something that would last beyond the campaign. Her partner, like, came eventually, and he told me a bunch of his struggles as well. So anyways, I'm there for like an hour, and I'm chit-chatting with them. I'm like knocking on doors, and I'm like, I really got to get going. And the first question I'm usually supposed to ask is, you know, can you caucus for Bernie Sanders? And after an hour long of like getting to know them, and, you know, I just really liked them so much, they were like, we can't caucus for Bernie because we have like debilitating like mental illnesses and like fear of anxiety of like people and this and that. And so, I mean, my heart was kind of broken to like hear that, but like I still cared, and I was really happy that I learned so much about them and their struggles, because that's how we continue to fight for those people who don't have the ability maybe to get out and have their voices heard. So fast forward a little bit, I chit-chat with them in between time and the caucus, just checking in on them, like I brought them some food and things like that. But caucus night rolls around, I'm getting people signed in here and there, and all of a sudden, the man and the woman that I knocked on those doors from, they show up to the caucus site, and my mind was just blown, because like they had told me that like they couldn't make it, that they couldn't come because of all these challenges that they have. And they came, and not only did they caucus for Bernie, they like stood up in front of a group of 70 people in their community and talked about their challenges and their struggles. And they were like, that's why we're fighting for Bernie Sanders, because he's been fighting for people like us his entire life. And it just was so inspiring to me that like that is what this campaign did, is it helped empower us, and it helped us to bring each other together.
Our job is not to divide. Our job is to bring people together. If we do not allow them to divide us up by race, by sexual orientation, by gender, by not allowing them to divide us up by whether or not we were born in America or whether we're immigrants, when we stand together as white, black, and Hispanic, and gay, and straight, and woman, and man, when we stand together and demand that this country works for all of us rather than the few, we will transform America. And that is what this campaign is about. It's bringing people together.
6 superdelegates went to Hillary Clinton. This is equal to 60,000 votes. Jessica Butler would share her thoughts on Donna Brazil's revelation.
And so many things rolled out during the campaign that was just sort of another, like, I guess, nail in the coffin, proving that this election was rigged against Bernie Sanders and the people that supported him. But I believe that like this starvation diet, and with Donna Brazile and Debbie Wasserman Schultz and Hillary Clinton, that this link between the funding and Hillary, it just shows that she had her finger on the scales to herself the entire time. It just showed the type of control and influence that she had over the election even before the nomination was made. On top of that, you know, the superdelegates, before Bernie even came out saying that he was going to run for president, so many superdelegates claimed to be in her court.
Because this, I'm going to film it.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah. All right. My name is Mitch Thompson. I am the precinct chairman of Hardin Township in Johnson County, Iowa. We are vying for one delegate, and we have a tie at 29 and 29. We cannot resolve the vote. 30 is the liability number for the single delegate. So at this point, I will ask Senator Kevin Kenney to flip the coin. Please come observe. The front of the coin is Father of our country, George Washington. The back is the schoolhouse, which is the coin from the state of Iowa. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
I'm Eric Johnson, the Senator Sanders precinct chair, captain.
Julie Brewery. I'm precinct captain for Hillary Clinton.
All right. And we have the coin. And do you mind if ladies call it?
No.
All right.
Doesn't matter. 50-50.
Folks, we are about to flip the coin. The precinct chair or the captain for Hillary will call it in the air. Heads is George Washington. Tails is the little schoolhouse for the state coin of Iowa. Call it in the air.
No. Okay.
A coin toss is not a form of democracy.
It is tails.
There is nothing democratic about a coin toss. It's just merely
The tie
chance.
has been broken by coin flip, and we'll go to Bernie Sanders for the...
I don't even know why the Hillary Clinton campaign covered this up.
Iowa Democrats don't take democracy seriously.
This is just sad at this point, seeing that the Democrats are actually using coins to rely on who gets to be a delegate or not.
Delegate for this precinct is Hillary Clinton. It was very, very close, people. Remember, this is a caucus. It was very, very close. It was called by a coin toss.
How were you treated at the convention?
We were not treated very nice at all. Hillary Clinton commercial the entire week, and also they were very aggressive with us and trying to just like shut us up. They just weren't kind at all. Like, we were just dismissed the whole time.
What was the message that you left the convention with?
The message that I left with, and what I think a lot of people left with, were that people left of the Democratic establishment are not welcome into the party. And it was perfectly clear, I mean, throughout the primaries and at the convention, that people like us that are more on the left side of the spectrum are not welcome, having our voices heard, because they're more progressive than majority of the people elected into office right now.
It's only natural for Bernie Sanders delegates to do what they did. It was rigged right in front of them, seeing that the Hillary Clinton campaign sabotaged Bernie Sanders, realizing that they didn't have a chance to start with, and there's nothing that they can do about it. So, of course, they did this. After Hillary Clinton became the Democratic Party's official nomination, Bernie delegates walked out of the arena in protest and into the media filing center.
We're vanishing. I'm surprised you can still see us. Establishment, the things remain the same. It's not good for me, it's not good for my family, it's not good for my clan, it's not good for my tribe, it's not good for my relatives. I'm surprised you can still see us. Our land, our air, our fire, our water, being ruined by the same person that they nominated in there. I'm not okay with this. I'm not okay with this. It is not over. This is just the beginning.
It's my daughter. We're father and daughter delegation from North Dakota. And I'm heartbroken.
Why'd you walk out?
Because I'm a native and I have integrity. And I will not allow that to happen without consequence. They've taken this from us. They've set everything up. All the way from Debbie Wasserman Schultz to Hillary herself. They planned this, they set it up, they didn't give us a chance. We dedicated our lives and our spirits to Bernie, and they took this away from him. We will not let it stand.
Joining us now, NBC News senior White House correspondent Chris Jansen. Chris, you sat down with Bernie supporters in Colorado, where you found few fans of the superdelegate system. What did they tell you? One, they think the system is rigged, and two, they still believe that these superdelegates can turn the race for Bernie Sanders.
To me, I think the Clinton machine is pressuring those superdelegates. If you want to have a political career, you better be backing Hillary.
Bernie Sanders won the state with over 72,000 votes. Hillary Clinton lost the state with over 49,000 votes. Despite all of this, Hillary Clinton gets all of the superdelegates except for 3. None of them voted for Bernie Sanders.
Bernie Sanders has been the first person to introduce legislation with his College for All Act that would allow students to go to college for free at four-year state universities.
He's not owned by billionaires, not getting payoffs from other people to do stuff.
And he talks about the issues that are important to me. He's for the people.
He's the one who'll tell you what the issues are, and he'll tell you specifics, which you're not getting from anyone else today.
Now is the time to think big and to understand all that we can accomplish for all of our people. Police officers have an enormously difficult job, but when a police officer or any other public official commits a crime, that crime must be punished. Not acceptable that young African Americans are walking down a street in a city in America and are being brutalized by police. That has got to end.
I'm Kimberly Heslin, and I'm a activist mostly in Colorado.
So you were there on caucus night?
Yes, I definitely was. That was a very intense night. We went out to the junior high. I got there about, I'd say probably at least 4 hours early because I knew it was going to be a really big crowd. Definitely was a big crowd. Brought my daughter with me, because I didn't have anyone to watch her. And, I wanted to make sure I was early enough to get parking. And I was. And then, like I said, I was about 4 hours early. We decided, okay, well, nobody's here yet. We can leave for just a minute and come back. Maybe half an hour later, we came back and the parking lot was already full. So we went ahead and got in line. Thankfully, the line wasn't too long just yet, but we still had, hours to wait. God, it ended up insane. The show out for Bernie. I mean, it was beyond what the school had capacity for. They had to open up different levels of the school that was supposed to be closed and locked up for the day. They had such a hard time getting everybody in, and they actually couldn't get everybody in. There was a lot of people that were just left outside. It went for hours. We were in line. It was crazy till probably like 7 o'clock at night. The news had showed up and already gave up and left because it took so long to get everybody in. It was really intense. Like we stood in line for hours.
Why Bernie? Why not Hillary?
Oh my gosh. There's so many reasons why Bernie. My background in my profession is I am a medical biller. So essentially, whenever you go to the doctor or you go to the hospital, whenever you get sick, whenever you have surgery, there's a person in between your provider and your insurance company. And I am that person. I'm the person that gets your insurance company to pay. And with that being said, I get to see what happens behind the scenes that really nobody really knows about. How can we sit here and allow someone to go completely bankrupt because, oh my gosh, it's choosing between I'm going to get sick and die or I'm going to have medical debt for the rest of my life or go bankrupt. One huge thing that really stood out to me was on February 24th, 2016. Hillary was holding a private fundraiser in Charlottesville, South Carolina, and there was an activist, her name was Ashley Williams, who went to that private fundraiser, and she held up a sign that read, "Bring them to heal."
I think we've got somebody saying here, we have to bring them
apologize for mass incarceration.
Heal. Okay, we'll talk
I'm
about
not a super predator, Hillary Clinton.
Okay, fine, we'll talk about it.
You apologize to black people for mass incarceration?
Well, can I talk? And then maybe you can listen to what I say. Okay, fine. Thank you very much. There's a lot of issues in this campaign. The very first speech that I gave back in April was about criminal justice reform and about
predators.
You're being rude.
It's not appropriate. This is not appropriate. That's rude.
Now, if you want to hear the facts, you just want to talk.
I know that you called black people predators in 1994. Please explain the record. Explain it to us. You owe black people an apology.
Well,
excuse us. That's inappropriate.
If you will give me a chance to talk, I'll count your side. You know what? Nobody's ever asked me before. You're the first person to ask me, and I'm happy to address it, but you are the first person.
She asked Hillary to apologize for mass incarceration of black people. Not only did Ashley not get an answer from Hillary, she was immediately escorted out. Hillary's past is her present, and in her past, she bragged about being a Goldwater girl. And we all know that Goldwater was a conservative, right-wing nutbag. He thought that the Civil Rights Act of 1964 was an overreach of the federal government. And when he was asked if he would vote against it again, he absolutely said he would. So that to me just tells me Hillary's really a Republican. She was quoted as saying she has a private persona and a public persona. And after that, there was a huge spark all over the internet with the hashtag #WitchHillary. She might say certain things, but if you look at her voting record and you look at everything she stood for, Bernie was the only one that pulled her to the left. Bernie pulled her to the left on the minimum wage. He fought hard for $15, and she wasn't having it until she saw how popular Bernie was becoming over that, and then she finally went to $12. She really is just another establishment Republican hiding under the guise of the title Democrat, and she is not a Democrat.
How is Bernie going to help your family?
Gosh, in so many different ways. Education. Education is a huge thing that he fights for. He wants us to be able to have a fair education for everybody, not just all these private schools. He wants public schools to be better. He wants us to be able to have public college instead of us having all this massive debt. I can't tell you, I have over $40,000 in student debt. And there's nothing you can do to write it off. He wants Medicare for all. He wants an actual future for our kids.
My question for the candidates is, do Black Lives Matter or do all lives matter?
The question from Arthur in Des Moines
Well, there
is,
we go.
do Black Lives matter or do all lives matter? Let's put that question to Senator Sanders.
Black Lives Matter. And the reason those words matter is the African American community knows that on any given day, some innocent person like Sandra Bland can get into a car, and then 3 days later, she's going to end up dead in jail, or their kids are going to get shot. We need to combat institutional racism from top to bottom, and we need major, major reforms in a broken criminal justice system in which we have more people in jail than China. And I intend to tackle that issue to make sure that our people have education and jobs rather than jail cells.
You voted against the Civil Rights Act in 1964. Would you do so today?
I would have to vote against it.
In the defense of liberty is no vice.
In 1964, during the presidential election of that year, I was a Goldwater girl. We used to wear, little banners which said Goldwater girl.
We need to take these people on. They are often connected to big drug cartels. They are not just gangs of kids anymore. They are often the kinds of kids that are called super predators. No conscience, no empathy. We can talk about why they ended up that way, but first we have to bring them to heel.
I mean, if we're honest, for a lot of well-meaning, open-minded white people, the sight of a young black man in a hoodie still evokes a twinge of fear.
What's something that you always carry with you?
Hot sauce. If that is your position, then I will talk only to white people about how we are going to deal with the very real problems.
That's not what I mean. That's not what I mean.
No.
But like what I'm saying is what you just said was a form of victim blaming. Right? You were saying that what the Black Lives Matter movement needs to do to change white hearts is
no, I'm not talking about. Look, I don't believe you change hearts. I believe you change laws, you change allocation of resources, you change the way systems operate. You're not going to change every heart. You're not.
You called out President Clinton for defending Secretary Clinton's use of the term super predator back in the 90s when she supported the crime bill. Why did you call him out?
Because it was a racist term and everybody knew it was a racist term.